Hello, everybody. Welcome. First, of course, as always, let me know if everything sounds good. But we are here today with our 2 draft analyses, actually. I decided to compress these into one because I already had a hard time trying to schedule one stream lately. And I was like, you know what? Let me just make it into 2 the 2 streams together. I thought that would probably be the smartest thing, so that's what we're going to do today. So today, we have our BBL Showdown, as well as our Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Wi-Fi Draft League, aka the Sinnoh Draft League, draft analyses. So I'm assuming most of you guys are here for the BBL Showdown one. However, I do want to go over both, and I'm hoping you guys will stay tuned for both. If you do enjoy what you see, of course, at any point during the night, leave a like below and subscribe for more content just like this. And yeah, let's get right into it. I see we already have a lot of people in the chat. Welcome Incog, welcome Marcus. I see we have like 7 likes too. I'm not sure if that's just from people who joined ahead or for what. But regardless though, I do appreciate it nonetheless. And yeah, I'll give a little bit longer for people to hop in, I guess, while I quickly break down my everything. But yeah, should you click the subscribe button? Of course, Marcus, of course. You should hit the like and subscribe button. They're both very vital. Hi, Emil, how are you doing today? But yeah, so I guess with that said, first I should move my image slideshow up a little bit because I realized it is just under my border. And I probably didn't notice that when I did the last slideshow thing I did with this, because the last slideshow thing I did with this was quite literally the power rankings for BBL Arceus. Well, Marcus, then don't hit it. Make sure it says that you're subscribed. If it says subscribed, you're good. Anyway, so currently we are in BBL Savali. For anyone who followed our run last time, I ended up going down I ended up relegating at a 3-5 record by differential. It was very unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm not too concerned. Emil, you don't have to do one. It's just I'm doing one just because I'm uploading. It's not even an upload required league. So, yeah. Anyway. Before I'm here for 3 hours. So we ended up relegating with a 3-5 record. It was by differential, so very unfortunate. But nonetheless, we are back. We're ready to kick ass this season. I have a lot of faith in my draft this time around. I feel like it's a lot better. I got some decent constructive criticism during the stream, but I feel like I could still overcome, especially with the Savali. So yeah. So with that said, for BBL Showdown, it's not an upload required league, whereas Wi-Fi is. So you obviously, for anyone who's watching this thinking it is Wi-Fi or whatever, you won't see any other Showdown coaches in the Savali division doing draft analysis. Most likely that is. However, for Wi-Fi, you can see all those. They should be coming up this Monday, the 13th of December. For anyone who might be thinking this is for Wi-Fi, this is not. Those will be up on the 13th. The draft stream on the 12th. I will be promoting both of those on my community tab as well. I guess if anyone's watching this in post, I'll be promoting it on Saturday, the day before, when I get an exact time from that. But make sure you check that out, I guess, if you're a fan of the Wi-Fi division. That will have a lot more content than just myself uploading. So if you do want to watch from just me, though, then you're in the right place. With that said, I went into this division knowing that I wanted a couple Pokemon. I wanted to get either Zyger Complete or Zekrom, and I knew very well that I could probably last around these Ubers, and I made a very big point about saying that at every possible moment I had. So I got 6th pick, and I was like, oh, good. I'm going to round 1 it, not because I think I need to, but because I want to. I'm going to round 1 Zekrom. Gets taken pick 5. Very unfortunate. However, though, yeah, Marcus, that's what I was saying. Wi-Fi is hard upload required, including the draft analysis. It will be up on this coming Monday, the 13th. That is when you need to upload it, Amel. The 13th. 13th is the upload, then the 20th for week 1, 27th, etc., on following Mondays. Anyway, so we had 6th pick. Zekrom was taken at pick 5, which is very unfortunate because Zekrom almost never goes anywhere. So I was very, very upset that I got sniped in that. I was legitimately, like, livid when that happened. However, I saw there was another Pokemon that should have never made it to me. This should have arguably been a top 3 pick in my opinion, but I will definitely take it. As good as I think Zekrom is, this Mon infinitely just is better. So we ended up 1st pick overall. Oh, god damn it. What key did I set this to? Is it plus and minus? I need to figure out what key I set this to. Give me 1 second, actually. I might need to really quickly. Hotkeys. Image slideshow. Image slideshow. Oh, I never configured it. Okay. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I thought I had it set from screenshots. So yeah, I know from Streamlabs. So first up on our team, we got Marshadow. This is our Platinum Uber, which for anyone I guess new to the BBL Wi-Fi format, or the BBL Showdown format, who might have been a Wi-Fi spectator. In BBL Showdown, we do things a little bit differently. We have a 25, a 23, a 20, and an 18-point tier, which we refer to as our Platinum, our Gold, our Silver, and our Bronze. These are the Ubers you can pick from. You can either get a Platinum, a Gold, a Silver, a Bronze. I'm trying really hard not to do that, but I'm trying to count on my fingers just to show. So you can get either one of any of those. You could also do Gold and Bronze. You could do... Oh, god fucking damn it, that just doesn't work. You could either do Gold and Bronze, Silver, 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 Bronze, 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 but you can't do anything like, for example, Gold, Platinum, or like Platinum, Bronze, or any pairs of Platinum. It's a solo Uber, which is why the Marshadow is as close of a color as I can eyeball to Platinum. I'll be honest, I don't know what Platinum looks like. I know it's a shade of blue. There you go. That's how you're going to represent it on this. It's also 25 points, so you can just remember it that way. But Marshadow is a solo Uber, which is understandably so. I know there's a lot of people who end up like really undervaluing, in my opinion, the solo Ubers, because for whatever reason that they have, whether it's the fact that they think, for example, that oh, sorry, I'm just fixing my green screen as I do this because I noticed that it's chroma keying a little bit too much on my thing. Why is this one not the one? God fucking damn it. I hate this. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. Anyway, so we have a lot of people end up mentioning that they don't think the Platinum pairs are worth it. And personally, I think there's a lot of Platinums, in fact, almost all of them, that I would personally say are very, very worth it in my opinion. With the biggest one, in my opinion, being Marshadow. Now, I think that Marshadow is honestly as worthwhile of an Uber as you can get in this format. The biggest reason for that mostly comes down to the fact that Marshadow just is a powerhouse. This is probably like one of the best Pokemon in the entire game, let alone in the format. And with the Ghost and Fighting typing, it's really hard to actually find a good switch into this Pokemon. With 125 speed, you're hitting really hard and really fast on the same Pokemon, which not a lot of Ubers can say. Most Ubers will peak at around 90 to 100 base speed. Some exceptions go a bit higher, like for example, Mewtwo is 130, Mega Mewtwo Y is 140, Ultra Narcosis is 129, so there are some exceptions. But overall, a lot of these Pokemon that do outpace in the Uber tier at least are Psychic types, or they're Ghost types. In fact, actually, yeah, it's Psychic types with the exception of like Mega Gengar. There's a couple that like just get near, but they don't outpace Marshadow, which is very important in my opinion, because it shows how strong of a presence Marshadow will have on the format. Now, there are some really good checks and counters. I would say there are actual counters. Like, for example, Yveltal is like a legitimate counter to this Pokemon. There's not really a good way around Yveltal with this. However, I have other plans down the road, so bear with it. Overall, though, this is a pretty free Uber in my opinion. I'm really shocked it was not top 3 in my opinion. If I had to say top 3, it'd probably be in order Zekrom, Yveltal, Ultra Necrozma, then Marshadow for the ones that we allowed, of course, because we're obviously not allowing stuff like Pedon, Arceus Normal, etc., etc. So with that in mind, Marshadow was a clear pick here. Considering the fact that Yveltal went and Ultra Necrozma went pick 1, there was no better Pokemon on my mind to pick. So a little bit disappointed I couldn't use Zekrom, but I've wanted to use Marshadow quite literally since Season 2 when we first allowed it. So I guess this is like one of those happy accident sort of things where I didn't plan on it, but I will certainly take it. On to pick number 2, we ended up getting Mega Medicham. Now, this is a core that I've really wanted to try ever since Marshadow has been allowed, being Marshadow Mega Medicham, and I think they actually complement each other really well. For one, Mega Medicham's a really good breaker, which is great because Marshadow is best used as a cleaner. Used to revenge stuff with its really high speed, similar to how you use a Weavile, to where while you technically can break with it, you really shouldn't force it to break every week. And that's why I drafted a fighting type that could break first. This one will be a breaker every single game, I promise you. Every game it comes to, Medi can break pretty comfortably. Psychic Fighting with huge power is really good. 100 speed is okay, but we have a lot of other options for speed on this team, so it's not the biggest concern, in my opinion. And for such a strong breaker, this is a really good speed tier anyway. Psychic Fighting typing as well. The best options to pair with this would be, for example, Marshadow can clear Psychics and Ghost really easily for Medicham if I need to, so then Medicham can clear through a lot of other teams. And then in return, Medicham can just break everything for Marshadow. Literally, pretty much everything. And then I can baton pass on the stuff that I can't. So, yeah, it's just a really brain-dead, physically offensive Pokemon. Right now, we have a phenomenal physical core, and the next thing I was looking for was for a special breaker. However, sadly, that ended up not actually happening because of... Well, actually, the next thing I was looking into was Corviknight. And this is the biggest reason being for a slow H-Pivot that wasn't, like, really, really mid-speed, as well as for some Defog. It was a nice Steel type that could check Xerneas. However, that ended up going. A lot of the Steals that I was looking for, same as Scizor, ended up going. So I was very, very disappointed, actually. However, there was a pick that I could get here that was still very, very good, and it still helps a lot with my Xerneas matchup. Which, funny enough, I'm playing Xerneas week 1, so this is like Arceus all over again. This is quite literally my redemption arc. But pick number 3, we get ourselves finally an actual Xerneas check. We get Excadrill. Now, Excadrill is a Pokemon I really like in BBL as well. It's a Rapid Spinner, which is really important when trying to hazard stack on teams, and I will actually take advantage of this Rapid Spinning later on. Just stay tuned. But I really like Drill for hazard stacking sort of routes, which is really good when you have something like a Marshadow, for example, or even a Medicham that one spike can make or break the difference on. So not having to force Defog is really good. So similar, I guess, to the Zekrom snipe, I guess it kind of worked out for us in the end a little bit better, in my opinion, with how the draft ended up taking shape. So I'll definitely take that. Drill as well gives us a really fast option with Sandrush, outpacing pretty much everything. Quite literally any viable Pokemon, even through weather, will get outpaced, because stuff like Kingdra, for example, is 85, Venusaur's base at 80, stuff like that. So all the viable weather sweepers is quite literally one of the fastest of. The only exception really being like Barraskewda, but no one really drafts Rain in BBL anyway. It's pretty terrible in most matchups. I won't lie though, Rain actually would have a pretty good matchup against my team against a good amount of Pokemon, but I do have some checks still. So yeah, I'm not too worried about Rain. What Drill also gives me is just in general a really nice hazard setter. A lot of people go to Drill and think of a sweeper, but I don't really need it to on this team. I can definitely make it a hazard mon if I wanted to, or just a general support option. Mold Breaker makes a really good hazard and just lead in general with this. So I'm definitely looking forward to using Drill for that. Oh, I just realized I haven't been reading chat. I'm sorry, chat. Damn it. Did I really? Is it really a silver blue? Well, I fucked that up. Diamond, platinum, diamond, pearl, platinum. How I'm shining with the. Oh my god, did I? That's got to be a Zeke bar. That's got to be a Zeke bar. And I mean, yeah, that's totally fair, Marcus. I definitely think it depends. However, I would definitely make a case that most Ubers and Platinum are really, really strong picks. Anyway, with that said, we have our first three. We have a lot of physical offense. Where's the special offense? I really need a special break at this point, and I decided to go with none other than Primarina. So Primarina was a Pokemon that I truthfully grabbed because I wanted to try and go for something that wasn't Sylveon. Sylveon's like my BBL cliche, and as much as I love using it, I'm a little bit bored of it, so I wanted to try something else. With Primarina, however, you can actually check pretty much any Yveltal set besides like Dual Wing Beat and make it a 3 KO, which I thought was already really phenomenal in my opinion. Because of stuff like Draining Kiss as well, giving this thing Astral Recovery, so I don't even need to bank on like Rest Talk or if this gets it Life 2, but I'll be honest, I've never looked into it. I'm not gonna care if it gets Life 2. I'll just run Draining Kiss. Because this in general is able to not only break a Yveltal really well, but it's also able to switch it on it, which not a lot of Pokemon can do both. It's a very, very, very hard thing to actually have happen. So this is quite literally my dedicated Yveltal check. However, it's still just a generally really good special breaker for the team, but I drafted it to check Yveltal because it's probably the Uber that gives some of, if not the very most difficult matchup for Marshadow in the game. So I wanted to be prepared. That's really all there is to this, not a lot. Next up though, we ended up getting a Dark type. I really wanted a Ghost switch in because, especially for the Ditto matchup, should I end up playing Ditto, pretty scary. And well, as I played Ditto week 1 as well, it's a Ditto Xerneas team, so you know, I did a really good job counter drafting my week 1 opponent, I will say. But with Ditto in mind, I wanted to get at the very least options that I couldn't Scarf into Special Thief or Shadow Sneak. I thought that would be generally beneficial. So my next pick on the team is none other than Mandibuzz, which this Pokemon also gives me a few other things. For one, it's another momentum option. Currently, the point that I'm trying to make with my whole draft, and you'll see this pick up a lot as the picks go on, I wanted everything to either be a breaker, a pivot, both, or in one example that is none of these three, I wanted to at least benefit from switching. So everything in this team will be one of those three, with the exception of our second to last pick, which will benefit from switching despite not being a momentum gainer, a option that can break, or the combination of the two. Savannah here is a momentum gainer for us, of course, and on top of that as well, as I said, it stops Ghost from being spammed against us. It was really useful, especially for like Ghostberry lures. I felt like that could be very good having Mandibuzz here, of course, as a bulky switch. And I initially wanted to just get mono breakers, I'll be completely honest, like everything either having momentum or breaking, if not both. But I decided that Mandy was very important for stuff like U-turn, for example, defogging as well, so then I can have a more reliable removal option despite having Drill being able to go for Rapid Spin. So I thought that was overall pretty important, albeit I actually ended up forming a really strong wall core as we go through, but I will save that for a little bit down the road. This did open up, I will say, another Psychic type potentially for us, which was very good because I wanted a bit of a defensive one as a really strong fighting switch in. Because right now, my Primarina is not a fighting check. It is offensively a fighting check, but it is not a switch into fighting types by any sense. Despite being resistance, it is still going to get massacred by a lot of common fighting coverage. And Medicham is flat out just not bulky enough to switch in, despite being a resistance and having okay enough physical bulk. It's probably like at least on par, if not slightly better than Prim as a physical fighting switch in, but it's really not. Like, I'm not investing in it, so Prim would probably have the edge there. But this did open up an actual, like, a really good fighting check for us, so I'll get into that in a little bit. With that said, though, on to our next pick, I decided to get this Pokemon truthfully off of M-Dragon's recommendation, and I want to thank M-Dragon a lot. He helped it with a ton of this draft, albeit I did talk with some other people as well, such as Burgo and Brown. They helped me with the first 2 or 3 picks. But ultimately, though, I went with M-Dragon with the most. The second I got Prim, I pretty much ended up going with what M-Dragon suggested for the most part, while bouncing a bit of my own feedback on the team as well. So obviously it looks like any sort of his teams that he's made really good playoff runs with. But he was the one who suggested Mandy, and he also suggested this next pick, which I would have never really considered. However, I guess this is me eating my own words after all the shit talking I've done with this Pokemon. We ended up getting Dragofish. I've never actually used Dragofish in draft from what I can remember. Maybe there's a league or two I did at some point, but I cannot remember when I've used it. I thought it really fit well in Sand, though, the more that M-Dragon explained it to me. And I was a bit concerned about getting 2 really offensive water types. However, one thing that M-Dragon noted was that Dragofish is not a water type. It is a move that happens to be water type. And it's really just here to take advantage of Sand in case of Drill is about Sand matchup, which, to that I'll say that's fair. I'm not playing a Dragon every week, and even still, Prim can break all of them really well. So I decided to, as Amo put it, draft Fish's Friend. Not Dragofish, I drafted Fish's Friend. That's all I'm clicking on this Pokemon, let's be honest. Maybe a Stray Super Fang, but I'm most likely, often than not, clicking Fish's Friend. But it fits pretty well here. This is quite literally as much of a breaker as I could have asked for Marshadow on the physical end. So I do like that. I guess Marcus mentioned the Draco Meteor Jetpack set. That's pretty fair. I know you guys mentioned a good amount that I didn't have a lot of good pivots. So that is an option, I guess, if I need the momentum. But yeah, no, I really like Dracofish a lot, though. I think it actually, in the grand scheme of things, fit the team really well. I wasn't super keen on it at this point, but I decided to, take a leap of faith because M-Dragon has a lot better BBL performance than I have, and he's drafted a lot of Drill Prim Sand teams with Mandy, so I trusted him. But I definitely like how this turned out, to be honest. So next up on the team, we obviously had to get a Sand Setter, and I knew that this Pokemon was probably going to get back to me, and I'm kind of shocked it did, though, at the same time, even though I expected it. But we got ourselves Gigalith. Now, this is another point to where the Psychic type they're getting down the road is really, really helpful. So shout out to Mandy being quite literally one of the best ghost checks in the game, at least defensively speaking. So I'm really glad that we ended up getting that because the Psychic type that we're going to get down the road will only be more beneficial to us. But Gigalith is quite literally just set sand for Dracofish and Drill, and to be another Hazard Setter. At this point, we only have 2 Hazard Setters, so it's a little bit especially because we are still, like, our Ground and our Steel are combined, and those are 2 typical types right there to get 2 Rock Setters from. So, not the greatest so far, but we do still have options actually to take advantage of this with future Pokemon. If you guys are paying attention, you'll see a lot of things that I've kind of mentioned a lot, and you can probably hint at one of at least 3 or 4 Pokemon that are coming up soon. It'll be coming up in 2 picks from now, but just keep an eye on that because it's sort of a culmination of everything coming together. But Gigalith ended up really opening the door, I guess, to make Dracofish a viable pick here, and I'm kind of hoping that the speed tier will end up being useful because of Sand Rush, but we're gonna have to see. Even if I don't bring Gigalith, though, Dracofish is still useful outside of just Gigalith Sand because of the fact that obviously Strong Jaw with Scarf or just Ban just being a break for Marshadow. So it's not like I need the 2 to come to every game to be useful. I can bring one or the other. They're not codependent on each other, and Gigalith still actually is just a really good bulky Pokemon. Its Spadef with the Sand up is astronomically high because of it's already really high. I believe 130 Spadef, if I remember correctly. I know it's really ridiculous, and this is just a really good special switch into everything, pretty much. I quite literally will take Dracos from, like, Specs Dragons, so it's just really incredible in that regard. Next up on the team, we have Salazzle. I got this mostly for the speed patching between Marshadow and Medi, and on top of that as well, it's an Ice Grounded Poison, and it's just a backup Steel Killer, I guess. Also backup Grass Killer for Trill and Dracofish, and Prim. Though Prim less so, because Prim obviously is able to specs its way through most grasses that are physically defensive for stuff like Drill. And if there's Spadef, then Drill can probably check them. So the 2 of those actually also work really well in tandem, but Salazzle's just a really nice backup to either one. On top of this as well, we obviously have Salazzle, which is able to Toxic through any sort of steals that might want to try and switch in on, like, a Specs Moonblast to try and wear those a little bit. On top of that as well, we just have the really nice utility aspect from things like Taunt, for example, in this Pokemon. This is one of the only 2 Pokemon that really doesn't break, switch, or both. So I completely forgot that this also didn't, but to be fair, I do like its purpose on the team in general. It's just a nice utility option, which is kind of weird to think of for a Fire Poison typing with such frailty, but this really is just here for utility, I'll be completely honest. But I think it could be useful. I might quite literally just Scarf it just to Toxic something, but yeah. We'll have to see. This is kind of an awkward pick. I'm not like the hugest on it, but I like what it provides to the team, even though if I don't think it has a lot that it provides, its role is still useful. Next up, though, we got our Psychic type that I was alluding to earlier that is really, honestly, a huge hole fixer to this team, being Deoxys Defense. I got this really just because I know that Burgo's been kind of popping off with this lately, and I know that Burgo really likes Deoxys Defense, so I decided, let's get Deoxys Defense. And honestly, I think its purpose here is really useful. Between Teleport for Momentum, we have triple hazards with T-Spikes, Spikes, and Rocks, because for anyone who isn't aware, who might be watching, we added in any additive changes to BDSP, barring Hidden Power, which we just did a hard Hidden Power ban on. So then, it's basically for, if Home Transfer ends up being a thing, everything that is added to movesets is still fine, because obviously I could upgrade a Pokemon that maybe lost Toxic in BDSP through Home, Sword and Shield, or whatever that possible game would be. Like, for example, with Zapdos, I teach Zapdos Toxic in, like, X and Y through it, or whatever game through a TM, upgrade it to Sword and Shield, and it still is Toxic. So the same logic could be applied to BDSP. So we didn't do any of the cut changes, besides Hidden Power, which we just did a Hidden Power ban on. But anything additive, because obviously Deoxys will still be able to Toxic Spikes and then transfer to whatever future game it's in. So that was the reason for that. So basically though, with Toxic Spikes on Deoxys Defense though, this also provides a Toxic Spike user, which is really useful for wearing down stuff, maybe to stall with Sand Chip and Toxic Chip as well long term. We can wear stuff down, so it is never going to be switching on a Meta-E, Tricofish, Prim, etc. So I like the overall potential this has, as well as, again, between Mandy and Deoxys, there's nothing really that wants to break both of them. It's a pretty hard walkway to actually defeat with just a single or even do 2 Pokemon, to be honest. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. I think that these will suffice more than enough for walls to where I won't even need Gigalith to be a wall. It could just be a Sand Setter or a Suicide Bleed, and I can just tear. Next up on the team, though, we decided to get 1.5 more walls, I should say. First wall that we got is none other than Tangela. This is the Pokemon that, as I said, benefited from switching. It's really just here to be a really good ground check, mostly for Zygarde specifically for arrows, because I didn't really want Mandy to necessarily be forced into doing it. But this is just a backup option to that. Now, I know the Zygarde gets Skitter Smack, so it's not an infallible option, but it's still there. It can check 50% a lot better than 100%, albeit not perfectly. But we do still have options. It's just a really good ground switching. Helps a lot with our Ditto matchup, I guess, as well for drill sweeping. But it's really just here to ease a bit of the sweeping access, I guess. Finally on the team, we got ourselves a Ghost Immunity. I think this is very important, even with a Dark as good as Mandibuzz, because maybe if Mandibuzz, let's say, gets worn down over time checking Psychics, I might need to throw in my normal to check the Ghost. So I have Porygon on the team. I know that anyone who's not familiar with BBL format is going to be like, oh my god, why is that Porygon so fucking expensive? Well, I'll tell you why it's so fucking expensive. This Pokemon now has 2 more championship runs than I have. And I don't mean like runs, I mean like titles. This is 2 more titles than I have in BBL. So it has 1 extra point for each. On top of that as well, its calcs versus a lot of Ubers are honestly pretty insane. So that plus the teleport momentum it gets this generation is really useful. It's really good at checking a lot of, especially offensive ghosts. So yeah, I like Porygon here. Overall though, this is the Road to OnlyFans roster for this season of BBL Showdown. Now, I'm going to quickly crack open caffeine. I'm sorry, I'm really thirsty. And then I'm going to load up my emulator. And we're going to pull up our Sinnoh Draft League team. So give me 1 moment on that. Actually, let me check Showdown Draft Chat. Okay. Sorry, I don't have hiccups today, Marcus. I'm good. Yeah. Oh, Zeke, did you win your first game? I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. Marcus, if I get hiccups, I'll make you a deal. If I hiccup on 5 times during the Sinnoh team, and this is a 12-mon team, Marcus. So if I hiccup even 5 times, I'll PayPal you $50. And by the way, you still haven't sent me the PayPal, your payment info for the 25 I owe you. So that's why I said 50. 50 instead of the 25. So that will include the thing payment. But it will be 25 extra, Marcus. That is my deal to you. It will be tomorrow, though, because I get paid tomorrow. And I don't want to, just in case of any bills happen. Just in case any bills happen, I don't want to end up, yeah, exactly. Incog, I am. So what? So what? Don't judge me, Incog. I like it. It tastes good. This is black cherry vanilla. It's really nice. But yeah. No, I meant Marcus. I'm sending it to Marcus. But yeah. So the deal is though, Marcus, is that if I hiccup 5 times, or more during this draft reveal for the SDL team, I will send you an extra $25 tomorrow. I'll send both payment, like the full payment either way tomorrow, whether it's 25 or 50, but that is my deal to you. I promise you I'm not even gonna hiccup once. And to prove it, even to just help your case a bit, took a really big swig right there for you, Marcus. Anyway, we are, oh god, I felt that on my nose. Oh my god. Okay. So let me set up something specifically for Yuzu. If I go, no, it's for Marcus. It's for Marcus. That was the deal. Game capture. Let me see. I think it's game capture. Capture specific window. Yuzu. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay, and it even crops. Shoutouts to Yuzu. This is in 4K too. So I'm gonna adjust this like right over here. And we're gonna move this all the way down. And then we're gonna go to property. Oh no, we're gonna go to filters. No, I'm not gonna give you money if I don't hiccup though. Where I go? Scaling aspect. Resolution. 16:9. There we go. Okay. So now it's gonna fit with our layout.
close enough. It's close enough. You don't need to see the entire thing. Am I doing custom sprites? Yes, that's why I'm pulling out my emulator. Now I can do this on my Switch too. However, they're just gonna look better. Truthfully, they just look better. And like this is quite literally in 4K. And the difference being, if you look at not to like, I'm not trying to call anyone out here. I'm genuinely not. But I'm just trying to think of an example, and I know one off the top of my head. If you look at like Owen's thumbnail from today, the Latios, you can see the gray area on the outline on it. And if you look at my thumbnails, not Latios, so Lucario. And if you look at like Josh's thumbnails or mine, because I've been doing Josh's thumbnails, you'll see the not grain around it. That's the difference. It's quite literally, to put in perspective, 3S capture card quality to Citra quality. If for any boomers in the chat who might remember that, it's quite literally the difference. So as I said, I genuinely did not mean to call anyone out when I did that, but I had to think of an example to show why I'm doing this. So that's why I'm pulling it up on emulator, even though I have a capture card. Anyway, so we're gonna go over the team. I know you guys can clearly see all the mons, but this is for the Sinnoh Draft League. This is a BDSP Draft League that is already dying. Shout out to John for not following through his promise and not letting it die. But I'm quite literally the only dedicated person. I'm gonna finish out the season though. Don't worry, guys. I will make sure the season finishes for you guys. But we'll have these uploading just basically as regular Wi-Fi battles is my plan with this. I figured that way then it's not going to take the place of any sort of content right now, and you guys will just still get your daily content, etc., etc. But we had 11th pick overall in the draft, and Mid was a toxic person, and not only is he dying right now and not going to finish everything, but on top of that, he took Infernic from me, so I couldn't even use it for 2 games. So I'm very disappointed. However, with the 11th pick, I'm kind of shocked that the T-Tar made it through to 11th pick, because this is probably one of the best Pokemon on the board. But T-Tar, so I guess I'll quickly go into this. There wasn't a ton of logic to this, I'll be honest. I just drafted a lot of Pokemon I thought would be fun, which is the big reason I'm combining it with my my BBL draft analysis. See, I'm gonna finish out. I know Abel's probably gonna. I know Matt probably will. It seems like it's basically like the goons for the most part who probably don't want to finish it out. I'm assuming that Jesse will. I know Jesse's been grinding out BDSP Wi-Fi battles. I've seen him killing it lately. Mid, I think probably will, but I know that Mid finally stopped doing daily uploads, so I don't know if that changed or not, but maybe he will. I don't think Kurt will. Die, I have no clue. Seth probably will. Owen, I think, is already done by week 1. He already was asking if we were going to finish it. Ant might. Yeah, I genuinely don't know. It's weird. I already think that Owen's probably not going to play another game, to be honest. I genuinely don't think he will. He seemed very uninterested. I think that John might only do a couple more as well. We'll have to see. I think that most of the people do want to finish, though, in hindsight. But yeah. So 11th pick, though. I don't know how T-Tar went undrafted in your Trickhouse, Wolvergo. The mod is insane. So what T-Tar offers, for one, I will say we banned Latios and Garchomp. We didn't ban anything else. It was really just those 2 Pokemon. Otherwise, it's quite literally just BDSPOU. Including the fact that Blaziken was Speed Boost. With Speed Boost is bad. We allowed Blaze, though. But yeah, so what T-Tar offered, though, was this offered me a Psychic check, which is really useful when there's Pokemon like Alakazam and Mew. And, well, less so Mew, because Mew can Drain Punch it, obviously. But stuff like Alakazam, which this is spin-up enough to take on stuff like Focus Blast. I can throw in Chople Berry if I really need to lure it. Also stuff like Latias, which lost Aura Sphere this gen, which is great. So through BSPOU, at least, it does not have that. It'll force Gengar to not be able to run stuff like Specs, which is very important, because a lot of these Pokemon that are very fast, very annoying Pokemon, the D-Tar is really good at checking. So I really liked it from an anti-meta perspective. Really a lot of special breakers, they're pretty much not going to be able to do that anymore, because a lot of special breakers are Psychic or Ghost. So I like that a lot. And in tandem with my next pick, this gave me 2 really good hazard options with these first 2 picks. I was basically a wheel, so I planned my picks in tandem as if I was a wheel, because I quite literally was. And I was talking with Matt as well, so we pretty much knew what we could get and what we couldn't get. So I basically planned my picks out in pairs. So with this in synergy, I knew my second pick would be leading to a fighting weakness. However, I wasn't too concerned, to be honest, because of the implication that with this fighting weakness I'd be building up, I would also already have a really good fairy counter, and truthfully probably one of the better ones in a draft perspective that I could have gotten. That being Empoleon. Oh, god damn it, I need to click on the thing. Okay. So yeah, so we have Empoleon up next. Now, for T-Tar, I forgot what I nicknamed it, I'll be honest, but Empoleon, I nicknamed it Trident for week 1. It'll be kind of obvious the Pokemon I have nicknames for are the ones that I've already played week 1 with. Spoilers, so I guess I'm kind of giving that away. I forgot my T-Tar nickname, though. But, something I might also have. I'll try and throw in some other nicknames just to throw a little bit of the scent off. But I already had an Empoleon nickname, obviously. This was Trident. So, one of the things I really liked for this, as I said, its ability to check Fairy types. I figured that even though there's not a lot just having a really, really good option to kill off stuff like Clefable and Togekiss was really invaluable. Gargura Gang, hell yeah, you know it, Burgo. I had to get it for Gargura Gang. But yeah, so I really like the option to have just to have Empoleon for that. Biggest reason being as well is that with this, it's also just a good cover switch into Fairy Moose. And I know there's not a lot of those, but stuff like Dazzling Gleam and Gengar, maybe if the opponent wants to go for a spec set, but doesn't necessarily want to lock in a Focus Blast, they could go with like T-Bolt Gleam against my team. And while I would do less to T-Tar, there's no risk in missing. So if that was a specs hit, I'm now an actual switch into Gengar instead of not being a switch in. So it's just stuff like that. Obviously, also for Ozzy, it's another big one. This thing checks. It's really just to check Fairies. It's the biggest thing that I wanted this for. It's also just a backup rocker. And it's also a cool sweeper. T-Tar and Empoleon, the other thing that I really like about them is they both have the potential to sweep, and they both have the potential to be defensive options, hazard options, whatever I want. They're both super fluid Pokemon. So it's quite literally basically like getting to, and I know I'm very much overhyping this, like to an extreme degree. And I know there's no comparing either of these Pokemon to this Pokemon, but I'm going to do it anyway. But it's quite literally getting myself the 2 really shitty Mews. But I have 2 of them, and they're both able to do whatever the fuck they want on this team. And I feel like, at least with how I drafted my team, that kind of does hold true. Albeit, as I said, they're nowhere near as good as Mew. Mew is on a whole other playing field, even in just Nat decks, let alone in this format. So I felt like it's the best analogy to put, though, because they can I can run them however I want. And I get you can kind of always do that in draft, but these are 2 Pokemon you could really do that with. So I already liked the start that I was getting at with these Pokemon. And getting to my next combination of picks, I decided to try and diversify my options a little bit in terms of just more versatility. So the next thing I got, I wanted another good Fairy check. On top of this as well, I decided that I wanted a Grounded Poison because I felt like these would be very scarce. And I was also looking at grass types, and this might sort of play into what I'm getting at. But I sadly realized that, like, in terms of ground switch-ins, there was not that many left. However, what I did have left was Roserade. Now, this will be a Kiza, our Roserade. And what I really like for a Roserade here, to be honest, is the fact that, one, it's the black rose. I thought it was kind of, that's why the black. Anyway, what I also really like, though, was the fact that this is a Spiker. And there were very, very few of these. It was quite literally like this, Skarmory, Fortress, Roselia. There were not many good Spikers. Like, there are some others. But like, I think DOD, we allowed DOD, right? Well, no, we couldn't, because the fact that this is a Wi-Fi league, we couldn't even do DOD because it's flat out not available through transfer. So because of that, we didn't even have Deoxys. So that was actually what I was originally gunning for. I wanted Deoxys defense round 1. That was something I was really looking forward to doing. However, because we couldn't do it and because there's no land option for battling, I went with Roserade instead. And I really like this as well because not only does this give me regular spikes, but it gives me T-spikes as well, which should hopefully help with Sand Chip, similar to how I mentioned Deoxys defense being for my BBL draft. It's quite literally just filling that role, but this also has a lot more of an offensive presence. Similar to Empoleon is a good fairy killer, 90 speed, shockingly enough, is probably pretty proportional, like 105 in like a not next league right now for BDSP, I would argue, just because of how few Pokemon there are that are fast. Like 120 is basically like pull speed for Zam. That's basically like the pull equivalent in like a not deck setting right now. So yeah, I mean, I really like the Roserade for that regard. It helps a bit with my speed tiers, albeit I have better options down the road, but it helps a bit for sure. That's also the reason you said Psycho Boost is live. Yeah, exactly. Because down the road it will be transferable, but because of the fact that currently I cannot catch Deoxys in game, it is a guaranteed move though for once Deoxys is in the game, I can just hard scale it off. And I did test this theory. I actually generated Deoxys and I did Teacher's T spikes through hard scale, so I know for a fact it works. However, sadly though, I can't use it right now because it's not online legal is the issue. If it was a land thing, we could do it. Because, for example, that's why you're able to do, like, hack monster land. You're able to do, like, anything through land, to be honest. As long as it's possible to hack it into the game, it's possible to use it. I couldn't do, like, an Empoleon in Sword and Shield land, but I could do, like, adaptability Giratina if I wanted to in Sword and Shield land. Because it doesn't legality check, is the thing. Sadly, though, we don't even have that option. Unless if you have a hack switch. If I'm battling someone with another hack switch, I can do it, but I cannot do it against, like, Uamel, for example. So sadly, Deoxys was off the table. This is my backup hazard option. On to the next Pokemon, though. I did also need a Psychic Filler, and I was also looking at Fairies, and I've been kind of looking at this Pokemon since quite literally the generation started. It's a Pokemon I think was truthfully, in my opinion, the biggest sleeper pick of the gen, considering the fact that I feel like it's just incredibly overlooked by so many people, whether it's through OU, draft, etc. Even just already, let alone in BSP. But this is my good pal, Asuna the Gardevoir. Now, one thing I really like about the Gardevoir on this team is the fact that it's a Psychic with Teleport, which a lot of Psychics lost because of most of the Teleport Pokemon in general got it through Let's Go. So stuff like Slowbro and Slowking no longer have it, stuff like Clefable lacks it, but Gardevoir kept it because this is a Ralts move. So shout outs to Gardevoir. It still functions like normal, so this is a great pivot. And not only that, but it's a mon that can learn Trick Room too, which I did actually draft the Trick Room element to my team because of the fact that there aren't a lot of fast Pokemon in the format. I wanted to have something for both Trick Room and for fast options. So you'll see that down the road. I did end up, in my opinion, doing that really well with this team. That's probably the speed control, I would say. I pride myself a lot on with this draft, actually. I think it's the biggest strength. But Gardevoir also, again, gives me another Spin-Off option. It's also a Wish option, too. So this is quite literally, in my opinion, just for my team specifically. I think it's arguably more valuable than even a Togekiss would have done. And it does everything I would have needed Togekiss to. Base 80 Fairy type, especially offensive, also has a lot of Spin-Off, it's a Wish Passer, has Baton Pass for Momentum. Well, Togekiss is Baton Pass, this is Teleport, which is even better for Momentum. It's a good Scarfer, a good Specs option, has setup options, has recovery. Like, it does everything that I would need Togekiss for, but it does it better. Because I also have Trick Room, it was 2 points less than Togekiss. It's also a Psychic type, which means it's going to resist fighting as... Well, actually, it's going to resist fighting as much. So I guess it's not better in that regard. But Psyshock is arguably better against Calm Mind options than, let's say, not having Psyshock on a Togekiss would be. So this has a lot going for it that I think arguably for my draft benefits far more than Togekiss did. Now, I'm not saying it should have been like a higher cost than Togekiss, like a 14, 15 point or anything, but I think maybe 11 might have been a little cheap. This is generally a phenomenal Pokemon. I really love Gardevoir. Really such a sleeper pick in general, let alone in this format. And I'm really looking forward to using Gardevoir. Second most on my entire team. Anyway, next up, I did decide at this point in the draft that I really wanted to start prioritizing speed because I realized that there were not a lot of Pokemon left on this board that were over 100. There was quite literally a handful that I even liked as Pokemon, and there was like one that I liked in this team. So next up on the team, I decided to get myself Mismagius. So I don't have a Mismagius nickname yet. I'll probably name it something dumb like Ghost or like Spooky or whatever. I don't fucking know. But I really like Mismagius here for the over base 100 speed, on top of the fact as well it's a Ghost type. And there also weren't a lot of Ghost types in this generation, so I liked it a lot for that. It has some cool utility like D-Bond, for example. I can maybe also just... I think it gets Momentum still. Memento still. I don't know. But it has... in general, it's just a really good fast-ish breaker. It's probably quite literally, like, I guess, proportional, like where a 120 would be in that for the format, because it's just such a slow format. This is 105 will really carry, to be honest. So I'm glad I was able to get it now. Levitate's kind of cool because my grass is currently neutral to ground. So currently I'm building up a bit of ground weakness, but this at least helps a little bit with that. At least make sure that grounds aren't going to be able to just scarf into Earthquake or Earth Power. So yeah, I like it here. I think it's its job well enough. Next up on the team, I got myself my first true Trick Room Breaker, as well as the fact that it's a really good Steel Killer, which I definitely did not have at this point. We have Hariyama, which for this I'm naming Palm Top, because of the big palms, and it's a reference to Taiga from Toradora, Palm Top Tiger. But I mostly liked it for the palms. They're really fucking big. They're huge. So this is a really good physical breaker. I currently had a lot of special Pokemon besides T-Tar at this point in the team. And I guess kind of in pull down with Defiant, but really not that much because it doesn't have good physical attacks. But currently though, what Hariyama did was it provided me a really, truly a physical breaker for this team. On top of as well as Status Absorber, this will hopefully make teams a little more wary of maybe going for like a Thunder Wave on my Gardevoir, or maybe a Toxic on my team in general, which thankfully is a lot more scarce, so I don't have to worry about that as much. But even just stuff like Will-O-Wisp, T-Tar, stuff like that. So it's helpful for that. On top of the fact as well, this is a really slow Pokemon, and just with Facade and Guts, I'm able to break teams very, very quickly. And with Trick Room from Gardevoir, which I can also teleport this in freely, which means I won't even need to take damage to do so, but I still like 3 turns of use Trick Room for whatever I feel like. So already, I really like this Pokemon's purpose in my team. And I think hopefully this Pokemon will honestly just kind of carry. I think it's going to be a really good physical breaker. I'm looking forward to a lot of sweeps. And this is probably my favorite Pokemon on the team. During all of Sword and Shield, I was really looking forward to using Hariyama the second I got added back. And I'm so glad the BDSP has the 493 because this is quite literally one of my favorite Pokemon. Harry Mama, yeah, but that's cliche. I love the nickname. That's a very good nickname, but it's a very cliche one. I didn't want to go with very cliche. As good as it is a phenomenal nickname though. Anyway, next up on the team, on to our next pair of Pokemon. I decided to get myself 2 Pokemon that could also function as a bit more bulky options, get myself some ground switch-ins because I do not have them currently, And on top of that as well, try and just get something I could synergize a bit for a defensive core, as well as, if necessary, be offensive. So the next Pokemon I got on my team was another water type. I got myself Gyarados. This is a very funny Pokemon. I really like Gyarados. Gyarados honestly just really good Dragon Dance Pokemon. I liked it more than Gator on this team by a slight margin because of Intimidate, as well as the fact that it's a ground immunity. So I kind of need to mention my next pick as well at the same time to explain a bit more in depth why I got Gyarados specifically as well. But I also got myself Gligar. Now I hate Gligar. I hate it with Violet. I already think it's a bad Pokemon with Violet. I think it's a terrible Pokemon without it. However, what this offered me was an electric immunity for my 4 times electric weakness I have, on top of also the fact that it's the second water I had. And Gyarados, at the very least, is neutral to ice. And I have already 2 really good ice switch-ins in Empoleon and T-Tar, so I didn't mind the 4 times ice weakness. Gyarados also being a water resistance is pretty useful, but again, I have switch-ins in Empoleon and Roserade already. So the weaknesses are patched up really well with my team for these 2 Pokemon, and Gligar helps specifically with Gyarados' weakness of electric, as well as rock, because it's also neutral to rock. And again, I have stuff like Hariyama to decimate rock types, same as Empoleon. So their weaknesses are already very padded out by my draft. The speed tier is very useful. Gligar also gives U-turner. So this is really just Scarf Gliscor on the team. But for 10 points cheaper, I mean, it was a 5-point Pokemon at 15. I think it was kind of fine at this point, considering how dog shit the Pokemon at that point were for 5 and below. So I thought it was kind of useful, especially the fact this can't get toxic to the very least by the few toxic mons there are. This is another Pokemon that, again, makes teams a bit more wary of status, even though toxic is so much less common now, just because of move dispersing, I guess is the best way to put it. Overall, this also gives me another SD Pokemon, I guess, with Gligar and Gyarados' Dragon Dancer, as I said. Gyarados could also just be a really good breaker, like Band, for example, because this is a counter team format. If I don't need to set up Dragon Dance, I could just go Band and Waterfall and just start going for Moxie Sweeps. So the fact this also just outpaces 80s, that's really good in my opinion, just having that, because 80 is a pretty common speed tier currently for this board. So I like that a lot. In general, I think these 2 picks offer a lot to each other, so I'm really looking forward to it. On to the next core. At this point, I had 4 picks left, and I decided that I really wanted something for speed control that was a bit faster than my Mismagius. Sadly, that is a very high task to ask at this point, unless I'm getting Ninjask, which even still, I think Ninjask went, if I remember correctly. I gotta double check that, actually. Ninjask actually didn't go. I'm kind of shocked, I'll be honest. I thought someone would have taken it just because it's the fastest allowable mon. But anyway. So at this point, though, I did get myself something really fast, and I think this will hopefully pressure a lot of teams, because it's pretty much the fastest thing that could have been grabbed besides Kingdra Rain. But I got myself Torkoal, which is going to be Syrup, and then Venusaur, which is no Sun moves. And I decided to be funny with this one. I named it No Sun moves because of the fact that it lost Weather Ball as well as Earth Power, so it's basically back to being mixed Venusaur, which is a bit unfortunate. However, I have stuff like Hariyama to break steals. I still like Torkoal, of course, to break steals. I still like Empoleon to wall steals. Gyarados can abuse steals. Vigo can break steals. So I'm not worried about steals, in case you couldn't tell. And I have other options for the Skarmory matchup besides just Torkoal. I'll get to that later on. But I like this pair a lot. Torkoal gives me another rocker on top of Gligar, Empoleon, T-Tar. So my hazards are pretty they're very much so there, which is great because it's back to being a no boots gen. So I really am glad I got a lot of hazard options. And I also gave myself a Rapid Spinner with doing Torkoal, which Torkoal having Rapid Spin is really nice because currently I had 2 Defoggers in Gligar and Empoleon, but this allows me to hopefully more viably set up spikes with Roserade and even T-Spikes with Roserade without having to worry about clearing them myself. So I like this a lot. As 2 special attackers that are really, really good, specifically Torkoal as more of a potentially special offensive mon, but it could be physical too, to be fair. And then Venusaur is just a really good mixed option that will probably be primarily going for special. But with the Sun as well, not only is this going to be one of the fastest Pokemon just on the board, including as far as Scarfers go, but also with Growth, I'm going to get +2 attack instead of 1, and +2 special attack instead of 1. So I really like that option. In general, this is just a really good offensive option, truthfully, and I think it offers a lot to my draft. Do I think they'll add an online rank system? I really don't think so. I think they've already mentioned they're just having all the competitive on Sword and Shield. I don't see it happening. Finally, though, at this point in the draft, we had 6 points left. I did get sniped on actually Sandslash, which was originally one of the Pokemon I was going to go with here. I was going to go with my next pick being Electabuzz plus Sandslash to get the dual weather option. However, I was so much less concerned with Sandslash, truthfully, because of the fact that I thought the Venusaur offered more to my team, and it ended up proving correct because someone was actually going to take Venusaur Torkoal at the next couple picks. So I am glad I went for that. With Electabuzz, though, at the very least, this is another 105 option, and one that I'll probably more often than not be using as a Scarf, or even just a Flying Switch in tandem with T-Tar, specifically for stuff like Raptor. This will hopefully threaten it from running a Scarf set or a Banded set, because it's not going to want to just go for Banded Brave Bird on like a Phys Def Electabuzz. Well, it can, but it's not preferable. This is also just really good speed tier with 105. It's decent offensively. Doesn't really need a Violate, especially for this cost. I mean, it's a 3-point Pokemon. Really not gonna miss not having a Violate. And I like the option as well just to help assisting Roserade in clearing waters, as well as Venusaur. Oh, I do want to mention, I know I have 2 grass poison types in this team. They're very, very different though. Roserade is much more for my general matchups, and Venusaur specifically for matchups I need the Sun Sweeping. Even still, Roserade can set up hazards and just pressure stuff really well that might soft check Venusaur to where it's within Venusaur can just clean it up. So I like the aspect of that a lot as well. I know that some people might have been looking at that a bit weird. I think if it's fine, especially with how I have really good checks to not only Psychic through T-Tar and Empoleon, and even Miss Magus as well to an extent, but not really don't want to switch into them. But Empoleon and T-Tar are phenomenal Psychic switch-ins, as well as flying with Empoleon and T-Tar, and then Electabuzz as well. So I like that option personally. I think it's fine. I know that is definitely something that people will be looking at, but I wanted to mention why I did it, especially for just the speed thing for Venusaur. It's just so much faster. But Electabuzz as well is just a really good Scarfer, and one that I could see myself Scarfing more at least, considering the fact that I have 2 grass types and 2 water types. I don't think a lot of people are going to bring grounds unless they're very, very good grounds. Stuff like maybe Hippowdons and Nidos. Otherwise, if it's like a, for example, like a Piloswine or maybe like I don't know, like a Torterra or something, it's probably not going to come against this team. So Scarf Electabuzz could have some merit there, especially as a just Scarf Electric type. But yeah, pretty much just here for that. Finally though, at this point, because Sandslash went, I decided to get a really funny Pokemon. This is one of my favorite Pokemon in terms of a low tier range to get. And yeah, I got myself PDE Bear. Now, you guys probably saw from yesterday's Wi-Fi battle what we did with Ursaring. I love PDE Bear. PDE Bear is a really good physical breaker, which gave me another physical attacker, of course, on the team. Much better than Sandslash would have been, because Sandslash hits like nothing. It literally is such a bad Pokemon. I don't know why I actually wanted it, truthfully, but I'm glad it got taken, because in hindsight, Ursaring just fits my team better. The little bear, of course, just having Guts and Quick Feet, but mostly Guts, because it is the better ability. I will die in the hill. But Guts Ursaring just hits everything really well. With Crunch, Earthquake, and Facade, it's very, very hard to switch it on. And with 2 Guts Pokemon, I now even more suited to their status. On top of my 2 Poison types that are immune to Toxic, my Electric type that's immune to Thunder Wave and Static in general, my Gligar, which is immune to Para, my Empoleon, which is immune to Toxic. I have so many status immunities, so teams will not be able to reliably do that against my team. So yeah, in general, I like the Ursaring a lot. I think it offers another Trick and Breaker as well to my team, which is pretty useful. Sadly, I don't have a special Trick and Breaker. However, Gardevoir, truthfully, could also, in a counter team format, be adjusted for that, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, that's the team. Hi, Ramoxa, how are you doing today? So I guess for anyone who might have missed, because unlike the BBL team, I don't have the full one on screen, I'll go over my team really quickly. So it is from first to last, T-Tar, Empoleon, Roserade, Gardevoir, Mismagius, Hariyama, Gyarados, Gligar, Torkoal, Venusaur, Electabuzz, and Ursaring. From 1 to 12. First battle will be going on Wednesday. We're taking on Seth. This has already been recorded. It's already been played, actually. I already have the result. I'm not going to mention it. But these will be going up on Wednesdays until the league dies. I'm hoping it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. I don't think it will, but I think a couple games might end up just not happening because of that. So very unfortunate, but it is what it is. I get to a format for everyone, but I have been enjoying the fuck out of it, so I'm going to keep playing it. But with that said, though, hopefully you guys look forward to that. It'll just take the place of normal Wi-Fi battles. The content will pretty much just be like a normal Wi-Fi battle for anyone who might be wondering. It's just going to have a slightly more in-depth team builder because the spreads, like I built the team out versus my Wi-Fi battle teams. I get those from Bird. Shout out to Bird. Also, I guess I will take the time to plug Bird, I guess, really quickly, because Bird is actually soon going to be uploading again, and the least I could do for my my good pal who has pretty much carried me through all of my prep at this point for my Wi-Fi battle teams, the least I can do is plug him, especially because I forgot to actually credit him in my team builder today. Hopefully this at least helps a little bit. Bird, I am sorry about that. I usually try to, but of course, if you guys like my content, subscribe to Bird. He's literally the brains behind it, and he should be uploading again soon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream as well. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe for more. We'll have a stream tomorrow, actually, for our BBL Draft League team, which, if you guys missed that earlier, we have the team right here. That is the BBL final team. We'll be taking on P. McKee tomorrow, who is the Zardius draft in this division. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that. That'll be at 8 o'clock. Because of this, the Wi-Fi battle for tomorrow will be up at 9 p.m. after the stream. Even if the stream does not end by 9 p.m., it will be up at 9 p.m. regardless, just to accommodate for this, because the person wanted to play at 8. To be fair, I actually forgot that I normally upload at 8. I don't know how I did. But yeah, I actually scheduled the game for 8, so we'll be doing the stream at 8 and the regular Wi-Fi battle at 9, so hopefully you guys enjoy that still. With that said, though, I will see you guys in tomorrow's stream and upload. Until then, peace out, guys.